all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace and blessings to the elect of Israel who are practicing and following the law of liberty. Okay, so we're continuing the second book of Adam and Eve. The second book of Adam and Eve, chapter 19. And this should be the final installment or the final video for the second book of Adam and Eve. So, hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. And we're just going to go ahead and get into it. Then God revealed to him again the promise he had made to Adam. He explained to him the 5,500 years and revealed unto him the mystery of his coming upon earth. And God said to Jared, as to that fire which thou hast taken from the altar to light the lamp withal, let it abide with you, to give light to the bodies, and to let it not come out of the cave until the body of Adam comes out of it. But, O Jared, take care of the fire, that it burn bright in the lamp. Neither go thou again out of the cave until thou receivest an order through a vision, and not in an apparition when seen by thee. Then command again thy people not to hold intercourse with the children of Cain, and not to learn their ways. For I am God, who loves not hatred and works of iniquity. God gave also many other commandments to Jared, and blessed him, and then withdrew his word from him. Then Jared drew near with his children, took some fire, and came down to the cave, and lighted the lamp before the body of Adam, and he gave his people commandments, as God had told him to do. This sign happened to Jared at the end of his 450th year, as did also many other wonders we do not record, but we record only this one for shortness' sake, in order not to lengthen our narrative. And Jared continued to teach his children 80 years, but after that they began to transgress the commandments he had given them, and to do many things without his counsel. They began to go down from the holy mountain, one after another, and to mix with the children of Cain in foul fellowship. Now the reason for which the children of Jared went down the holy mountain is this, that will now reveal unto you. Chapter 20. After Cain had gone down to the land of the dark soil, his children had multiplied therein, and there was one of them whose name was Cain, son of Lamech, the blind, who slew Cain. But as to this Cain, Satan came into him in his childhood, and made him psaltery trumpets, and horns, and stringed instruments, and cymbals, and psalteries, and lyrics, and harps, and flutes, and he played on them at all times and at every hour. And when he played on them, Satan came into them, so that from among them were heard beautiful and sweet sounds that ravished the heart. Then he gathered companies upon companies to play on them, and when they played, it pleased well the children of Cain, who inflamed themselves with the sin among themselves, and burnt as with fire, while Satan inflamed their hearts one with another, and increased lust among them. Satan also taught Cain to bring strong drink out of the corn, and this Cain used to bring together companies upon companies in the drink houses, and brought into their hands all manner of fruit and flowers, and they drank together. Thus did this Cain multiply sin exceedingly. He also acted with pride, and taught the children of Cain to commit all manner of gross wickedness, which they knew not, and put them up to manifold doings, which they knew not before. Then Satan, when he saw that they yielded to Cain and hearkened to him, and everything he told them, rejoiced greatly, increased Cain's understanding, until he took iron, with it made weapons of war. Then when they were drunk, hatred and murder increased among them. One man used violence against another to teach him evil, taking his children and defiling them before him. And when men saw they were overcome, and saw others that were not overpowered, those who were beaten came to Cain, took refuge with him, and he made them his confederates. Then sin increased among them greatly, until a man married his own sister, or daughter, or mother, or other, or the daughter of his father's sister, so that there was no more distinction of relationship, and they longer knew what iniquity, but did wickedly in the earth. was defiled with sin, and they angered God, the judge, who had created them. But Gunyan gathered together companies upon companies that played on horns and on all the other instruments we have already mentioned at the foot of the holy mountain. And they did so in order that the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, should hear it. But when the children of Seth heard the noise, they wondered and came by company and stood on the top of the mountain to look at those below. They did thus a whole year. When at the end of that year, Gunyan saw that they were being won over to him little by little, Satan entered into him and taught him to make dyeing stuffs for garments in divers patterns, and to make him understand how to dye crimson and purple and whatnot. And the sons of Cain, who bought all this and shone in beauty and gorgeous apparel, gathered together at the foot of the mountain in splendor with horns and gorgeous dresses and horse races, and committed all manner of abomination. Meanwhile, the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, prayed and praised God in the place of the host of the angels who had fallen, wherefore God had called them angels, because he rejoiced over them greatly. But after this, they no longer kept his commandments, nor held by the promise he had made to their fathers, but they relaxed from their fasting and praying, and from the counsel of Jared their father. And they kept on gathered together on the top of the mountain to look upon the children of Cain, from morning until evening, upon what they did, upon their beautiful dresses and ornaments. Then the children of Cain looked up from below and saw the children of Seth standing in troops on the top of the mountain, and they called to them to come down to them. But the children of Seth said to them from above, "We don't know the way." Then Gunyan, the son of Lamech, heard them say that they did not know the way, and he bethought himself how he might bring them down. Then Satan appeared to him by night, saying, "There is no way for them to come down from the mountain on which they dwell. But when they come tomorrow, say to them, Come ye to the western side of the mountain. There you will find the way of a stream of water, and that comes down to the foot of the mountain, between the two hills. Come down that way to us." Then when it was day, Gunyan blew the horn and beat the drums below the mountain, and he was wont. The children of Seth heard it and came, as they used to do. Then Gunyan said to them from below, "Go to the western side of the mountain. There you will find a way to come down." But when the children of Seth heard these words from him, they went back into the cave to Jared to tell him all they had heard. Then when Jared heard it, he was grieved, for he knew that they would transgress his counsel. After this, 100 men of the children of Seth gathered together and said amongst themselves, "Come, let us go down to the children of Cain, see what they do, and enjoy ourselves with them." But when Jared heard this of the 100 men, his very soul was moved, and his heart was grieved. He then arose with great fever, and stood in the midst of them, and adjured them by the blood of Abel the just, "Let not one of you go down from this holy and pure mountain, in which our fathers have ordered it to dwell." But when Jared saw that they did not receive his words, he said unto them, "O my good and innocent and holy children, know that when once you go down from this holy mountain, God will not allow you to return again to it." He again adjured them, saying, "I adjure by the death of our father Adam, and by the blood of Abel, of Seth, and Enos, and Cain, and Mahalalel, to hearken to me, and not to go down from this holy mountain. For the moment you leave it, you will be reft of life and of mercy, and you shall no longer be called the children of God, but the children of the devil." But they would not hearken to his words. Enoch at the time was already grown up, and in his zeal for God he arose and said, "Hear me, O ye sons of Seth, small and great, when ye transgress the commandments of our father, and go down from this holy mountain, ye shall not come up hither again forever." But they rose up against Enoch, and would not hearken to his words, but went down from the holy mountain. And when they looked at the daughters of Cain, at their beautiful figures, and at their hands and feet, and dyed with colors, and tattooed and ornaments on their faces, the fire of sin was kindled in them. Then Satan made them look most beautiful before the sons of Seth, and he also made the sons of Seth appear of the fairest in the eyes of the daughters of Cain. So the daughters of Cain lusted after the sons of Seth, like ravenous beasts, and the sons of Seth after the daughters of Cain, until they committed abominations with them. But after they had thus fallen into this defilement, they returned by the way they had come and tried to ascend the holy mountain. But they could not, because the stones of that holy mountain were of fire, flashing before them, by reason by which could not go up again. And God was angry with them. He repented of them because they had come down from their glory, and had thereby lost or forsaken their own purity of innocence, and were fallen into defilement of sin. Then God sent his word to Jared, saying, These thy children, whom thou didst call my children, behold, they have transgressed my commandments, and have gone down to abode of perdition and of sin. Send a message to those that are left, that they may not go down and be lost. Then Jared wept before the Lord, and asked him for mercy and for forgiveness. But he wished that his soul might depart from his body, and rather than hear those words from God about the going down of his children from the holy mountain. But he followed God's order, and preached unto them not to go down from the holy mountain, and not to hold intercourse with the children of Cain. But they heeded not his message, and would not obey his counsel. Chapter 21. After this, another company gathered together, and they went to look after their brethren, but they perished as well as they. And so it was, company after company, until only a few of them were left. Then Jared sickened from grief, and his sickness was such that the day of his death drew near. Then he called Enoch, his eldest son, and Methuselah, Enoch's son, and Lamech, the son of Methuselah, and Noah, the son of Lamech. And when they were come to him, he prayed over them, and blessed them, and said to them, Ye are righteous, innocent sons. Go ye not down from this holy mountain. For behold, your children and your children's children have gone down from this holy mountain, and have estranged themselves from this holy mountain, through their abomination, lust, and transgression of God's commandments. But I know through the power of God that he will not leave you on this mountain, holy mountain, because your children have transgressed his commandments, and that our fathers, which we have received from them. But, O my sons, God will take you to a strange land, and ye never shall again return to behold with your eyes this garden and this holy mountain. Therefore, O my sons, set your hearts on your own selves, and keep the commandments of God, which is with you. And when you go from this holy mountain into a strange land, which ye know not, take with you the body of our father Adam, and with it these three precious gifts and offerings, namely the gold, the incense, and the myrrh, and let them be in the place where the body of our father Adam shall lay. And unto him of you who shall be left, O my sons, shall the word of God come, and when he goes out of this land, he shall take with him the body of our father Adam, and shall lay it in the middle of the earth, in the place in which salvation shall be wrought. Then Noah said unto them, Who is he of us that shall be left? And Jared answered, Thou art he that shall be left. And thou shalt take the body of our father Adam from the cave, and place it with thee in the ark when the flood comes. And thy son Shem, who should come out of thy loins, he it is who should lay the body of our father Adam in the middle of the earth, in the place where salvation shall come. Then Jared turned to his son Enoch, and said unto him, Thou, my son, abide in this cave, and minister diligently before the body of our father Adam all days of the life, and feed the people in righteousness and innocence. And Jared said no more. His hands were loosened, his eyes closed. He entered into rest like his fathers. His death took place in the 360th year of Noah, in the 989th year of his life, and on the 12th of Takas, on a Friday. But as Jared died, tears streamed down his face by reason of his great sorrow for the children of Seth, who had fallen in his days. Then Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah, these four, wept over him, embalmed him carefully, then laid him in the cave of treasures. Then they rose and mourned for him 40 days. And when these days of mourning were ended, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah remained in sorrow of heart because their father had departed from them, and they saw him no more. Chapter 22. But Enoch kept the commandments of Jared, his father, and continued to minister in the cave. And it is this Enoch to whom many wonders happened, and who also wrote and celebrated book. But those wonders may not be told in this place. Then after this, the children of Seth went astray and fell, and they, their children, and their wives. And when Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah saw them, their hearts suffered by reason of their fall into doubt, full of unbelief, and they wept and sought of God mercy, to preserve them and to bring them out of this wicked generation. Enoch continued in his ministries before the Lord 385 years, and at the end of that time he became aware through the grace of God that God intended to remove him from the earth. He then said to his sons, O my son, I know that God intends to bring the waters of the flood upon the earth and destroy our creation. And ye are the last rulers over this people on this mountain. For I know that not one will be left you to begot children on this holy mountain. Neither shall any of you rule over the children of his people. Neither shall any great company be left of you on this mountain. Enoch said also to them, Watch over your souls. Hold fast by your fear of God, and be your service of him, and worship him in upright faith, and serve him in righteousness, innocence, and judgment, in repentance, and also in purity. And when Enoch had ended his commandments to them, God transported him from that mountain to the land of life, to the mansions of the righteous, of the chosen, to abode of paradise of joy, and light that reaches up to heaven, light that is outside the light of this world. For it is the light of God that fills the whole world, but which no place can contain. Thus, because Enoch was in the light of God, he found himself out of the reach of death until God would have him die. Altogether, not one of our fathers or the children remained on that holy mountain, except those three, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. And for all the rest went down from the mountain and fell into sin with the children of Cain. Therefore were they forbidden that mountain, and none remained on it before those three men. So that's it. That's the final chapter. Hope you guys enjoyed this reading. It was pretty interesting. And like I always say, listen to the video a couple times, meditate on it, and may God bless.